Okay, so thank you everyone for joining us at the event. Before we get started, I do want to acknowledge that McMaster University, we recognize we're located on the traditional territories of the Mississauga and the Haudenosaunee nations, and within the lands protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. I know that not every one of our participants or our students today are on campus with us right now. You may be at home preparing to come to Canada. You may be already in Canada. So this land acknowledgement may be something that you will see often as a part of the Canadian culture, where we recognize the people who were on this land before us today, and recognize our relationship with the land and with the people. What are we going to talk about today? So there are two sections, there are two topics of this webinar. The first section, we'll talk a little bit about getting to know Hamilton as a city, getting to know your surroundings at McMaster, getting settled and adjusting as a student at McMaster, and also to encourage you to engage in conversations and ask questions about life in Hamilton. So let's get started and learn a bit more about Hamilton. So what is Hamilton as a city? So we have a population of just about over 500,000, so 580,000 for now. And depending on where you're coming from, this may be, a big city or a smaller city. It really depends on what you're used to, what you're comfortable with, and what have you been, the size of city you've been living with. But from an objective perspective, we have about 580,000 people. We are located kind of in the corner between Toronto and Niagara Falls. It's about 45 minute to an hour drive each way, either to Toronto or Niagara Falls. And we have a thriving restaurant and arts scene. So especially in the summer, if you come a bit earlier this summer, you can see that there's art events, galleries all over downtown. Hamilton also hosts three major post-secondary institutions. That is McMaster University, so the university you're coming to, Mohawk College, and Redeemer University College. We have a quote unquote mountain in Hamilton, and the picture you see on the screen really is our mountain. So when you're on the ground, you can see the top of the quote unquote mountain. So when you're talking to folks who maybe already be in Hamilton, when you're looking for housing, for example, and the posting says it's on the mountain, what it means is really they're not on top of a really tall mountain in the middle of nowhere. It just means that they're out on the top of this kind of small mountain. Just to kind of give you a sense of how small this mountain may be and how accessible it may be, you can see the stairways on the right side of the pictures. There are stairs like this kind of throughout the area between the downtown and the mountain. And if you're somewhat athletic, you can easily climb it. And if you're not somewhat athletic like me, you can also climb it just with a little bit of effort. And so this is just kind of give you a sense of what a Hamilton mountain is when people talk about mountains. Nature in Hamilton. So Hamilton is also known as the city of waterfalls. We have over 100 waterfalls throughout the city and in the surrounding areas, and we really recommend for you to check them out either through hiking through these waterfalls or biking on the city trails. In October, the leaves began to change, and it's really just beautiful to see the trees in all kinds of colors, and you'll get your classic Canadian fall. Again, there are hiking trails throughout the city and including a series of hiking trails even behind our own campus. So if you look at a map of McMaster University, you can see that we're right by the water. But between the campus and the water, there is a green area. So the green area contains trails, is a part of the Royal Botanical Gardens, and students are more than welcome to hike through these trails. It is free, and I really highly recommend checking out these trails. There are also bike sharing programs throughout the city, which we'll talk about a little later. And north of Hamilton is surrounded by two bodies of water. So Hamilton Harbor and Lake Ontario, so which is one of the biggest lakes in the world. So you have easy access to water, easy access to nature. And of course, with nature comes wildlife. So these are some of the wildlife you might see around campus. This is my favorite slide of this presentation, so I'm really glad I get to share it with you. And it's true, these guys all exist around campus, and sometimes they do come on campus, especially deers. Sometimes in the early morning or in the late evenings, you may even see them coming on campus. Raccoons are famous for opening household garbage. So if you live off campus, it's highly recommend for you to only take out your garbage on the day, on the morning of the garbage collection, because if you leave them out and open all over, you will be inviting some raccoon friends to make a mess of your yard. Geese, so the first one on the bottom left, they are very common. They are seen as a symbol of Canada, but please be careful when you're around those geese because they can get very aggressive, and especially when they're with their babies, they can get very aggressive and territorial. And in early spring or even now in the summer, you can see them just wandering around campus like they own the place. And also squirrels and skunks you may see around, but more often, I guess, squirrels than skunks. It is important to note that you should not feed any of these animals. There are laws against feeding animals, and they should not eat human food because it is not very good for them either. The climate. So a lot of people talk about Canada, and the first thing that it comes to their mind is gets really cold. So luckily, you're coming in September, and the weather won't be very cold yet. In fact, we're expecting September to be very nice out of the four seasons. So in Hamilton, you do get four very distinct seasons, which means that when the fall comes, you'll see the leaves changing as fall, winter gets cold, there's snow. In the spring, the snow goes away and the plants start growing. In the summer is what we have right now. It gets very hot outside. So we do have the four very distinct seasons. And of course, winter is something that we all kind of worry about or we all think about, especially if you have never experienced a Canadian winter before. But rest assured, winter won't really come until later in October and November. It doesn't really get cold until November. During the middle of the winter, the temperature can go as low as minus 25 degrees Celsius without wind chill. And with wind chill, it might get even colder. We're expecting large snowbanks, and the snow becomes slush when it melts. The roads and sidewalks can be icy, so be careful when you're out there. And then really, if you're coming in the fall, you do have enough time to prepare for winter. And of course, during the summer days, the temperature can go as high up as 35 degrees. So you're coming in the summer, if you're coming in for September, you really don't have to worry about preparing for winter at the time of your arrival. So climate, again, like should you bring warm clothes to prepare for the winter? And our answer to this it really depends on where you're coming from, because depending on the country or the region you're coming from, your home country or home region might not even sell clothes that are suitable for a Canadian winter. And if you're coming from a region where it's not suitable to have that they don't sell suitable winter gear, we really recommend to come to Canada first and get your winter jacket in Canada, because clothing sold in Canada is designed to be worn in Canada. And another thing we want to highlight is we really don't need a luxury brand to stay warm. So you don't need to spend $1,000 on a jacket to stay warm. Winter clothes can be purchase through, sporting stores, thrift stores, and other common stores. And you really don't need, like Canada Goose and Moose Knuckle. You don't need a big brand just to stay warm. And so there's a picture on the right side of what a kind of a student typically look like on campus. In fact, they were taking on campus of students walking around. And you can see that they're dressed in layers. So they're not wearing a big bulky, snow pants, but they are wearing a big jacket covering clothing that they can wear indoors because it tends to get indoors, it tends to get warm indoors really quickly. And they're covered from head to toe and wearing a winter boots. So this is kind of the clothing you might be looking at when you're preparing for winter. So before we get to the winter season, when you arrive in August or in the summer and in September, there are a few neighborhoods that you might want to explore just to get to know the city a little better. So one of them is Westdale. So Westdale is just a little, I believe, east of the campus, and is walking distance about 5-minute walk away, depending on where you're starting from the campus, and is a really cute little street with a theater, with a lot of restaurants, and where most of our students, I would imagine, hang out just to grab a bite to eat or just to walk around with their friends. A little bit further towards downtown, we have Locke Street. Again, a really cute street with restaurants with smaller shops that sells donuts, ice cream, and it's a really great street for folks to walk up and down to explore during the warmer months. And then a little further east, you get Hamilton downtown, which gets way busier and a lot more shops. And every September, they have an event called the Super Crawl, where they actually block off a street in downtown to make it a walking street. So this will also be a really great opportunity for you to explore the city center of Hamilton. Here are some of the common grocery shopping places for students. We've identified these three because the first two grocery stores, they're very big grocery stores. They are near campus, and they're both walking distance and also or a quick bus away. So the Food Basics and Fortino's in Westdale and Ainsley Woods offer 10% off for students on Tuesdays. So if you're shopping on Tuesdays, make sure to bring your student card. And they are easy to get to by bus and or if you're walking from campus. There's another grocery store called Nations. Nations is located in downtown Hamilton and is a very popular grocery store with our students because it does offer a wide variety of foods from various cultures and from various countries. So if you're looking for a snack from home, Nations will be a place that you may check for it because they do offer a variety of groceries from different countries. And of course, there are smaller grocery stores throughout the city that focuses on cultural cuisines and cultural groceries. Another popular shopping areas are University Plaza. It is also close to campus where they have stores like Shoppers Drug Mart, the LCBO, and other stores that you may find other things in. So this is also a popular area for students to get what they need to shop and to walk around. Jackson Square Mall is located in downtown Hamilton. It is where the Nation's grocery store is also located. So this is an indoor space where students can get their what they need there as well. And especially for students who are living, around the downtown area. And then, of course, Shoppers Drug Mart. So there is a Shoppers Drug Mart in Westdale and also one across from campus on Main Street. So that one offers 20% discount on Thursdays for students. So again, make sure to bring your student cards when you're shopping at these places. Next, I will turn the slides over to my colleague, Sana.
Thank you, Yufei. Hello again, everyone. So I'm going to talk to you guys about some transportation options. First of all, we have the HSR. This is our bus system here in Hamilton. It's a very popular way to get around the city, whether it just be getting from home to campus or if you want to explore more in the city. We also have a bicycle bike share program. It's called Sobi. You can see it, the blue bicycles on the picture here. You get an app on your phone, and then you can basically get a bicycle anywhere in the city, ride it to where you want it, and then drop it off at one of the bicycle hubs there as well. This is a nice way to get around when you don't want to wait for the bus, and also in the summer, it's a great way to explore. Along with that, we have a electric scooter program called Bird Canada. You can see that more on the left side of your screen. They function in a similar way to the bicycles. You have an app on your phone and you can use them to explore around the city. These are only available in the summer and not during the winter. For Go Transit, these are the buses that move between cities. So Mississauga, Oakville, Toronto, they take you around Hamilton, but also if you want to go exploring a little bit further. Other than that, we also have rideshare or taxis. Uber and Lyft are two popular rideshares that students use here in Canada. So how are you supposed to access these? Like I mentioned, the scooters and the bicycles, you have an app on your phone, but for the Go Transit and the HSR, you have what is called a Presto card. So that is like a bus pass. Can we get the next slide, please? So your Presto card is an electronic payment system that is used as a transit pass in Hamilton. You set your card up to get a discount on Go Transit, especially because you're a student, you get an extra discount on that. It is usable in most public transit systems in Ontario, so including Toronto, Mississauga, Burlington, those places that I mentioned. So you get an HSR bus pass that's included into your tuition for most full-time students. You will need to load your HSR bus pass onto your Presto card, and then you will have unlimited rides within Hamilton. But if you want to use the Go Transit, you'll have to add additional money onto your card. And then, like I said, as a McMaster student, you will get discounts on your Go Transit fare when you're using your Presto card. So when you arrive to campus, you will be able to buy a Presto card either from the campus store or from Shoppers Drug Mart that Yufei mentioned. And then your HSR bus pass will be on your Mosaic account. So you will just need to activate it and then you'll be good to go. And then I also want to talk about the international student events and programming that we have. We offer various events and programs throughout the years. So socials, exploring Hamilton, making friends, finding a job, immigration help, academic support. So we host trips to notable places throughout Hamilton and Ontario, such as the waterfalls, hiking, Niagara Falls, all kinds of things like that. We also host grocery tours where you can explore cultural food options in the city. There are drop-in sporting events if you want to explore a different kind of sports. There are many socials to connect with other internationals where you do fun activities and just really find other people to bond with. And then we also have practical workshops that support you with finding a job, preparing for interviews, and improving your grades. So how do you know about all of these? Where do you get connected? This happens on Oscar Plus. So to view these events, you log into Oscar Plus. You can see the website there at the bottom right of the screen. You log into Oscar Plus using your Mac ID and your password. And if you don't have access yet, you should have access to it in the coming weeks. Then you navigate to Student Success Center under events, as you can see a little screenshot there. All the international events are in maroon. So that's how you know it is hosted by our office. And also know that you are eligible to attend any of the events that show up for you. So careers or global opportunities, academic skills, these are all events that are hosted by the Student Success Center. The maroon ones are the international student office specifically, but you are allowed to register for any of these events. That's all from me for now. If you have any questions, please post them in the Q&A and then I will hand it over to my colleague.
Beautiful. Thanks, Anna. For the next section, we want to discuss getting settled and adjusted in Hamilton and really setting some expectations in terms of cultural norms, laws, and experiences that you may have on campus and off campus. The first thing that we want to touch on is cultural norms. And one distinct note about Southern Ontario in particular is that it's very diverse. Hamilton is a diverse place to live. And with that being said, there's many different cultures, many different experiences, and many different ways of doing things. And one thing that we like to note is, in addition to folks being newcomers and international students navigating a cultural experience, you may find that some of your domestic students are doing the same. For example, it is not uncommon for many domestic students to be considered first year, or rather first generation Canadians. I myself am one, meaning that my parents immigrated from Ghana. Also, it is important to note that these experiences really define how people interact with one another, what kind of values and customs and traditions they bring to the McMaster community. And if we think about one person whose parents have immigrated from Kenya, for example, and the experience of another student whose great-grandparents immigrated from France, there's a lot of different traditions and cultures and ways of living. And when those folks come together, it's important that we create a community of respect, understanding, and curiosity. One thing that folks also notice is the times of certain businesses and different shops running in the local area. For example, most shops will close around 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. However, more essential stores like Shoppers Drug Mart, which Yufei mentioned earlier, will often close at a later time. This can be drastically different from folks who may have shops, essential stores, and even some basic stores open almost throughout the day. So it's important to check the times and the closing hours of some of your essential needs. Another thing that we hear from students often is how often Canadians say sorry or apologize, whether it's you're walking in the same direction as someone else and you're trying to avert their direction, or the amount of times folks say thank you. It is customary in Hamilton specifically for students to get off the bus and thank their bus driver. And it is customary within 10 feet apart of someone trying to open the door behind you to hold the door open for them. This is just a taste of some of the experiences, the culture norms that you may notice and that you should probably be curious about as you transition to McMaster. As we discuss different cultures and different experiences, it is important to note your rights as a student at McMaster University and in Canada. So the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms allows us certain laws and protection specifically against discrimination. And this can be discrimination due to sex, sexual orientation, race, marital status, gender identity, religious belief, creed, age, color, disability, and so on. It's important that this is inherent as a resident as well as a citizen of Canada, and these rights are to be respected and maintained at your time at McMaster and within Canada. And one of the offices that highly promote this advocacy is the Equity and Inclusion Office. So they are responsible for bringing up and developing some of the principles and the values as it relates to equity and inclusion that McMaster is to operate under. They also support with workshops, consultations, and if you find yourself in an instance where you're curious about what are the expectations of rights and specifically elements or aspects of discrimination, the Equity and Inclusion Office is a great source of folks who are dedicated and passionate about this work and are willing to help you and walk you through some of these difficult conversations or these curious conversations when it comes to human rights in Canada. In relation to human rights, gender and sexual orientation are exclusive subjects in Canada, meaning they are not the same, but they are aspects of Canadian life, and especially on campus, that folks recognize, respect, and pay specific compassion towards. So with that being said, June is Pride Month in Canada. It's a celebration of 2S LGBTQ histories, legacies, and advocacy in Canada, as well as a celebration. And with that, it extends and reinforces that it's important for us to respect the sexual orientation of different folks living and learning on the campus and Canada in general. With that being said, sexual orientation as well as gender expression is something that is certainly respected and is treated as something that folks have to be compassionate and curious about, in the sense that, for example, folks can present as male and female as well as non-binary in the institution and in Canada in general. What this means is it is common that you may see folks say their pronouns. For example, in my caption here, under my name, I have she, her, because that is my preferred pronouns. And it is also common when introducing yourself or when asking someone their name to also ask for their pronouns in respect of how they would be preferred to be identified as. This is important as sometimes there are assumptions made about how folks present, whether masculine or feminine. However, the best practice is to ask folks how they wish to be addressed and continue and respect and maintain those notes as you continue to engage with that person. If you're curious to learn more about the understandings and acknowledgement of sexual orientation and gender expression at McMaster specifically, there are large communities, student-based communities, as well as dedicated full-time staff who are supporting some of the advocacy work around this topic, including the Pride Community Center, as well as the Women and Gender Equity Network. Keeping in the topic of health and safety, Canada may have different laws and tolerance levels around things like drinking, smoking, and most recently, cannabis use. With that in mind, you must be considerate of the different ages and the laws around these typical topics of safe use. You must be 19 years of age in order to consume alcohol, tobacco, or cannabis, and there are strict rules about where this can be done. For example, McMaster's campus is a smoke-free campus, meaning that you are not allowed to smoke on the campus grounds. It is important to know the risks of consumption, and the Wellness Center is also here as a resource to help you navigate safe use and understanding of some of the consequences related to these topics. In addition to your passports, we do want to identify another form of photo ID. So the Ontario Photo Card is a wallet-sized card that provides government-issued photo ID. With this, you do not have to have a driver's license. You can be as young as 16 years of age, and it costs a small fee in order to have an additional form of photo identification. It takes around 4 to 6 weeks for delivery, and you're able to apply in person to the nearest Service Ontario, which is about 10 to 15 bus minute ride from main campus. This is an excellent option if you don't want to carry your passport with you, because we know how precious that is and how important it is to have identification when applying for different programs and services. Now, you and your family may have questions about safety on campus, how is it maintained, and how you can navigate campus safely. We will note that there are systems and networks and different supports and services put in place to maintain the health and safety of students. And we do want to point out particular aspects or elements of safety as folks who are newcomers in the space and may not be used to some of the practices or some of the identifiers of unsafe instances in Canada in order to best equip you when you're navigating your experience on and off campus. Unfortunately, there are a number of scams that exist in Canada. We will have continuous workshops and campaigns around keeping you alert about scams and fraud. However, it is not uncommon for newcomers, international students to be victims or find themselves in instances of fraud in the same way that domestic or Canadian citizens also experience fraud on a regular basis. With this in mind, never give out your personal information to anybody over the phone, text, email, and even if that person is identifying as the police, the Canada Revenue Agency, or someone from your embassy, it is important to maintain a sense of caution when giving your personal information over the phone. These are common phone calls or text scams that may occur. And if you get a phone call and you're not sure if it's legitimate, you get a funny feeling about what is going on, please be in contact with campus security or the International and Exchange Student Experience for guidance. You also need to be mindful of your possession and your surroundings. Many of us may be coming from cultures where it is common to ask a stranger to watch over your things or to leave a bike unlocked and come back from a shop or visiting the library and still find your bike there. But that may not always be the case on campus or off of campus. It is not safe to leave your laptop or phone on a desk where someone may have easy access to it, even when you're going to the bathroom. And so it's important to keep these practices in mind and just have a sense of caution and protection over your personal belongings when navigating spaces on and off campus. If you are ever in an emergency situation, whether you or someone are hurt, it is best to call 911 for either fire, police, or ambulance assistance. It is important to note that there is a network on campus that has 24-hour security available to assist you. And to illustrate that, we have assistant poles, which is illustrated on this slide here. If you are walking late at night, or if you are in an instance of an emergency, you can utilize these poles. You can speak to someone within the campus security system in order to get support. There are also different programs such as the EFERT walking system for folks who are walking home late from the library or just need extra assistance in terms of feeling comfortable on and off campus. And there are student leaders that'll help walk you on and off campus near your residence so you can arrive safely home. Money and paying. So most people, especially post-lockdown, like to opt for credit or debit usage. You will even find on campus that some of our eateries and restaurants are cashless, meaning that they only accept forms of credit and debit. But it is important to become familiar with the different denominations and forms of payment. For example, in Canada, we have bills that come in 5s, 10s, 20s, 50s, and 100s. It's important and it's kind of interesting to note that bills are not made of paper. They're actually made of a plastic. And if you were to experience water or a bit of liquid that occurs on a bill, it's not easily absorbent as it would be for paper. So that's an interesting fact about our denominations and our bills specifically. You are able to take money out of an ATM, but beware of ATM fees, as if you are not belonging to the bank of that specific ATM machine, you may have to pay an additional fee. In terms of cash, we do have a new system with coins on the next slide, which will determine how you interact with cash. So for example, when you are paying, rounding off to the nearest 5 cents is something that happens when you are paying with cash. So for example, if a notebook is $10.23, you will have to round up and pay $10.25 in cash. If your notebook is $10.22, you'll have to round down to the nearest 5 cents and pay $10.20. This is because we used to have a penny, a 1 cent coin, and however, the penny has officially been eliminated, and we now use the rounding system in order to pay in cash. If you would like to pay the exact amount on a regular basis, again, it is recommended to use credit or debit, so you're paying that exact amount. Tipping. So this is a very unique but also somewhat controversial topic in Canada and in Southern Ontario right now. So first, let's start with taxing. The tax price listed not only includes the actual item that you are paying for, but a harmonized tax. And this is based on the province, and taxes are put into the payment of certain objects and are a portion or a regular occurrence for many folks who are purchasing certain items with few expectations in Canada. It is important for you to note that because the 13% tax exists within Ontario, that you should always keep in mind taxing as an aspect of your final total when you're paying for our large ticket items, because what you see on the ticket price isn't necessarily what you will pay at the cash register. Tipping is also a cultural aspect of experiencing different services and supports within the community. For example, in restaurants, tipping is a regular practice where you are being served at a table, and it is customary to have a reflective tip based on your service. Tipping is also common in areas like delivering food, haircuts, tip jars of different cafes and other kind of eatery experiences, taxis and Ubers, and also for aesthetic services such as getting your hair cut, getting your nails done. It is often common to tip for good service, and it is best practice to understand what the normal range of tipping is, just to be aware and to be respectful of your services. In areas that don't require tipping are areas such as grocery stores and retail, where it is expected that folks are receiving a fair wage for their labor, and therefore are not needed a tip from guests or clients in order to make those ends meet. Whereas servers or bartenders, there's an expectation on their wage that they will receive tips, and so their hourly rate is quite different from the minimum wage of certain folks working in other areas. In relation to the topic of taxes, as you are going to be a resident of Canada, you have the right and you are required to complete your taxes in April. The tax season is an opportunity to essentially share your income with the government, as well as other forms of income that you've received. If you are a student paying tuition to an Ontario or a Canadian institution, you are also eligible for some tax benefits. And as most folks are considered to be lower income earners as students, you do have greater tax benefits, and you will receive a rebate, meaning taxes back, money back around this period for the amounts you've paid in tuition and different other realities or identifiers as folks who are lower income earners in Canada. There are free tax services in the community, including our very own Max Money Center, who offers a long-term tax clinic for folks who are looking to file their taxes and get support on which documents to use and how to properly file their taxes. So please be on the lookout for that campaign and do take advantage of that tax season, because again, as low-income earners, you are recipients of tax benefits. And now I believe I can pass it on to Zana for the remaining of this section.
Oh, yes. I highly recommend doing your taxes. It is really great as students because we pay so much in tuition. We do get some money back at the end of tax season, which is really useful. And also, I recommend using Max Money Center. I have been living in Canada for about 3 years now, and the first year I tried to do it by myself, but it's so much easier with the support that Max Money Center offers for us. If you are looking for more information on banking in Canada, we do have a dedicated webinar to talk about banking, finances, and budgeting. It will be taking place on August 7th at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So note that down in your calendars because it will be, very important for you to understand how the banking works here and how to use your money well and just work on your credit score and things like that. So living in a new culture can be very difficult. I remember when I first got here and it was very different. It was during COVID and it took quite some time to adjust. So I want to encourage you guys and just remind you that it takes time to adapt to a new culture. So if you come here and you're feeling overwhelmed, that's okay, that's normal. I encourage you guys to talk about what you are experiencing. You're not alone in this. There are many international students who have come to Canada, and there are supports that are put in place for us. So all of the incoming first years should have been matched with the international student buddy, all of the grad students with the grad navigator. Talk to those people. They are there to support you and most likely have been through some similar experiences. Talk to your friends and your roommates. Talk to the student success coach and the people at the student volunteer. We are all here to support you. And many of us have been international, so we understand the struggles and the homesickness and those kinds of things. It's also really important to keep in touch with your friends and family from back home. I also encourage you to bring something with you from back home. There are opportunities to here to wear your cultural dress, bring snacks from home, bring things that will make you think of home, and things like that. And then come to our IAC events to meet other international students, because we share your experience, and it's much easier when you know that you're not alone. And be mindful of your health and your well-being, especially in the winter. It is important that you're taking care of yourself. We don't get as much sunshine here in Canada as many other countries. So yeah, just be mindful that it is an adjustment, not only mentally, but physically as well. Yeah, and then just another reminder, if you have any questions, please post them in the Q&A.
Hello, everyone. Sorry I missed introduction of this webinar. My power went out at the wrong time this morning, so I had to get Yufei to take over. So welcome to all of you. My name is Anna Pereira, and I'm the team lead of the International and Exchange Student Experience team. I hope you've been enjoying the webinar so far. I'm just going to finish it off, wrapping it up with some of the services and programs that we have specifically for our first-year students. So as you may know, because you're already here, we do have the pre-arrival webinars that have been happening since April, and they will wrap up in August. Some of the topics that are included are listed there. Just note, I did have another question in the chat asking if this is the same webinar that is being done on August 15th. So yes, it is. It is being repeated for any students who might have missed this one. Also, there are a ton of other webinars, especially the International Student Panel is a great one to attend, where you'll get information from students who are already in Canada as international students. So a great way to ask peer-to-peer questions. So if you have not yet registered for the upcoming ones, I highly encourage you to do so. Next slide. Thank you. So supports and services when it comes to the airport. So all international undergrad, grad, exchange students, and MELD students, we are offering a free transportation service from August 3rd until September 3rd. We call it the Airport Transportation Program. So that's collaboration between the Student Success Center and the Faculty of Engineering with a local transportation provider, which is called Airways Transit. So we will be providing free ride share, I should say, to students who are arriving. If you're being dropped off at the main campus residences or 10 Bay, there will be no additional cost to you in terms of mileage. But if you are staying somewhere in the Hamilton community, there'll be a small fee of $10 that you will have to pay directly to Airways Transit. That also goes with luggage. So whatever the regular luggage fee is, which I believe is one bag and probably like a carry-on, whatever it would be with your ticket, that will also be covered. If you do have more luggage, just be aware that you might have an additional fee with Airways Transit. So that program, like I said, August 3rd to September 3rd. More information on how exactly to book your transportation will be shared with you, I'm hoping, next week or the week after. Just know those dates. So as you prepare and start to book your flights, you can try and take advantage of this program and book arrivals between that time. We also have an airport welcome program, and this is from August 1st to September 1st. As you can see there in the pictures, we have current McMaster and Mohawk College students who will be at the airport wearing bright red t-shirts to welcome you. So we are not going to be there 24 hours a day. We will be there for limited times. We are trying to be there for the time that there's the most international arrivals. And basically what they're there for is to help you navigate the airport. Just a friendly face as you get off the airplane. We can watch your luggage if you have to run to the bathroom or do whatever you have to do. And the purpose is just to greet you and make sure that you're getting onto your next stop so you can get to Hamilton safely. So look out for the orange team, Terminal 1 and 3 international arrivals. Make sure you go by and say hi, and they are super eager to welcome you and greet you. For our, if there's any first-year undergraduate students who are on this call who will be staying in residence, we have a special program for you. It's called the Ignite program. This is a pre-orientation program that we will be running from August 21st until August 23rd. With this program, it's an opportunity to get your basic settling needs taken care of, things like opening bank accounts, getting a cell phone, anything you need in terms of settling. Also a great way to make new friends with your fellow international students, great way to meet faculty and academic advisors. Also, you will be the first ones on campus, so it gets you kind of oriented before everyone else gets there and the craziness of Welcome Week begins. You will be able, by participating in this program, you can move in as early as Monday, August 19th at no additional cost. We will be covering the additional cost of you moving in early before the regular move-in residence time. And all that we ask is that you do commit to the full 3 days of the program. If you register and you move in and you do not attend the program, there will be a charge placed on your account for early move-in. So please take advantage of this program. It's a great way for you to get all settled in and ready to enjoy your welcome week without having to worry about your settling needs at that time. So registration has now opened. It's first come, first serve. There are limited spaces. So if this is something that you want to participate in, I highly, highly recommend that you go on to Oscar Plus as soon as this webinar is over and book yourself in. So just so you notice, there are some upcoming webinars. Meet Your Neighbors on July 10th, Study Permit Extensions, July 8th and 18th for any students who potentially have been at or in Canada before and they're transitioning from high school to university. English supports at McMaster through our model office, our MELD office. And then there will be one on health insurance, which is great for you to get information on because traveling to a new country is scary enough as it is. It is great that you know what your health plan covers and that you are fully covered. So again, check those out on Oscar Plus and make sure you register for those. And stay connected. So once you arrive on campus, we are located in the basement of the Student Center. We have a great lounge that is just for international students. You can come hang out with us. We have a lot of workshops and events happening down there as well. It's also a great place to come hang out, have your lunch, study, do whatever you need to do. It's a lounge just for you. Also for, again, first-year undergraduate students, I highly encourage you to download the iSent app, which you will be receiving personalized information throughout the summer and throughout your years at McMaster. It's already up and it's ready for you to download so you can get more information as things happen in your journey before you get here and also your journey here. Just for, if you need to connect with us, our general inbox is iesc@mcmaster.ca. We have an inbox for UHIP and immigration as well. And the emails, addresses are there for you as well to connect with us.